Analysis Mr. Exit or Mr. BOJ? Race for Japan's top vital financial institution job to Heighten Tokyo. The choice over who may be the Bank Japan's next leader will probably consciousness on profession primary bankers whose exclusive policy processes and track facts could have an effect on the timing of an eventual go-out from ultra-easy economic policy. As former and incumbent deputy governors, Hiroshi Nakaso and Masayoshi Amamiya have deep information in vital financial institution affairs, which makes each of them a safe pair of hands in guiding a future go-out from ultra-low hobby charges, but remote that can be. Long touted as frontrunners in the BOJ management race, neither could rush into tightening monetary coverage given Japan's fragile financial system and the need to maintain low the fee of investment, its huge public debt, say 5 former and incumbent policymakers who have worked with or beneath them. But the two should range on how soon the BOJ must roll lower back a complicated framework of guidelines that integrate massive asset shopping for, bad short-term hobby costs and a 0% yield cap that makes Japan an outlier amid a worldwide scramble to elevate prices, they are saying. Nakaso belongs to a camp that believes relevant banks must no longer intrude too deeply in markets, whilst Amamiya seems more bendy, said Nobuyasu Atago, a former BOJ authentic who is now leader economist at Ichiyoshi Securities. The key distinction lies in their perspectives on how a long way critical banks need to stretch the limits of financial coverage. Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's choice of a successor to BOJ Governor Haruhiko Kuroda, whose time period leads to April next 12 months, is probably to heighten after an top house election in July. A ruling celebration victory, which appears a near actuality due to a weak competition, could solidify Kishida's grip on strength and allow him to differentiate his regulations from former most useful Shinzo Abe's Abenomics economic stimulus. That may match in favor of Nakaso, who has criticized Abenomics as having been overly reliant on economic coverage and repeatedly warned of the cost of prolonged easing. In a recently posted book, Nakaso laid out in detail how the BOJ may want to give up ultra-loose policy, raise the interest paid on monetary establishments' extra reserves, prevent reinvesting money from bonds after they mature, and steadily trim the financial institution stability sheet to stages where market functions get well. If the general public turns into greater accepting of higher expenses, hobby fees will come beneath upward stress and allow the BOJ to normalize economic coverage, he advised. Nakaso is presently chairman of the Daiwa Institute of Research, a personal suppose tank. Graphic, doves and hawks. Unlike Nakaso, whose profession concentrated on worldwide and market affairs, Amamiya has spent maximum of his years on the BOJ drafting financial coverage ideas. He is known for masterminding many unconventional financial easing steps that earned him the nickname, Mr. BOJ. Enormous task, to make certain, Kishida could choose a darkish horse and not using a historical past in financial policy. Uncertainty over the economic and inflation outlook ought to sway the root of economic policy both way, irrespective of who takes the BOJ's helm. Some analysts also warning towards branding Amamiya as an outright policy dove. In a speech added in 2017, he pointed to many grievance and voices of challenge over the danger the BOJ's yield cap coverage may force it to bankroll authorities' debt and make a destiny go out from ultraloose coverage difficult. As a senior BOJ executive, Amamiya performed a key role in shifting the BOJ's policy target in 2016 to interest quotes from the tempo of cash printing, relieving the bank from shopping for bonds at a set tempo. He became also deeply concerned in a policy assessment final year, when the BOJ ditched a pledge to buy risky property aggressively. If want be, he can without difficulty transfer course as he's a pragmatist, in place of someone who clings to ideals on what route the BOJ have to take, one of the sources stated of Amamiya. One aspect is for certain: whoever receives the job will face the sizable challenge of entangling Kuroda's stimulus, said Atago of Ichiyoshi Securities.